gosh, it just bothers me. I would never call someone stupid. I'm telling you right now, there's something that happened in a video that one of my heroes actually posted that called me stupid for doing this, and I hopefully can put away some of the rumors that this is stupid. I want you to look at this pasture right here. This pasture was drugged. This pasture has been drugged for approximately 3 years now. I'm gonna take you to a pasture that has not been drugged, and you guys are gonna have to make your mind up as to whether dragging pastures really helps or whether it doesn't. I've got some theories of my own, and they're time tested. This works. Let's get busy. Oh. Clear pro. I ain't afraid of work. I ain't afraid of play. I ain't afraid to get the job done and do it my own damn way. I ain't afraid of life. Times like this. If you mess with my freedom, I'll tell you just what you can kiss. That's right. Good afternoon, morning, boys and girls and ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Stoney Ridge Farm. Today we're going to be talking about dragging your pastures, and we're going to be talking about a very, very insulting statement that a good friend of mine made about dragging your pastures, and how I totally believe that he's wrong. And he's wrong for my operation, but he might be right for his operation. It might be right for your operation. Come along. I got insulted pretty bad by someone that I really, really admire as a human being and as a farmer. I don't know. Let's take a look. Alright guys, it's another breezy day here on the Stoney Ridge Farm. The clouds are breaking up. It's absolutely gorgeous. Rained 2 days ago here on the farm. The cows are just over the hill in some pasture that I drug, okay? We're talking about dragging pastures today. I'm gonna take you over and show you some pastures that I've drug, and I'm gonna show you some pastures that I didn't drag. So let's see that.
This manure pat was put down in, we would have been here in January. It's gone. The worms ate it. And I didn't drag my pasture. Guys out here on these big old tractors and the big old drag, oh, I gotta drag my pasture, grow some grass. I'm like, you idiot. Why are you doing that? All you're doing is compressing your soil with those big tracks. You had worms in that manure path, they would have worked it into the soil, but no, you had to come along and spread it open. See, earthworms have to stay moist. An earthworm cannot stay moist in that little turd because you broke it up.
I don't think it's stupid, and no, I don't think I'm stupid, and no, I'm gonna do some math for you here on the tractor. So the argument against dragging pastures is one or two things. The first thing is this heavy tractor right here compacts your soil. I don't believe it. I don't believe it for a second. If I drive it 50 times back and forth in the same spot, yes. Right now, I don't believe it. I absolutely don't believe it at all. The second argument is that the nutrient is more dense, and I'm going to turn you around to a cow turd here. Nutrient is more dense under a cow turd like this, okay? And it should have earthworms in it, right? Because it's a big cow turd. Well, my big cow turds here on the farm, there are no earthworms in them. There's some ants in there, but there's no earthworms in them. You can see dotted across the landscape, hopefully you guys can see this, tufts of grass. These tufts of grass or dark spots are where a cow urinated or a cow defecated. In other words, that's where the cow poopy is. You can see a perfect example right here. So turkeys have picked through this and scratched through this a little bit. There's a circle of really dark green grass around these cow poop piles. One there, one there. And when we raise it up, we are not seeing the earthworm load that my friend Greg is seeing. And why is that? Well, this is an old abandoned tobacco farm from years and years of abuse on the land, not like the land in Missouri where you've got 6-8 feet of topsoil. We don't have any topsoil here, guys. There's no topsoil. This is a clay, sandy clay loam, I guess, and all three of those going together Might sound a little silly, but that's what it is. So what I do with this drag harrow, and you're gonna see it here in action, we'll just walk you around it real quick, well, in just a second. What I do with the drag harrow is I take those big old manure pats like that and I scatter them about on the land, building the soil. Now, my school of thought on this, I'm not worried about compaction, and we're going to talk about compaction in a second. We're going to go do some math between the cow's compaction and that tractor's compaction. We'll talk about that. But I am of the humble opinion that if you fertilize your garden, which this is the cow's salad bar right here, if you fertilize your garden and you put all of the biologic material in clumps throughout your garden, it's not going to grow the best garden. And that's just my thought process on dragging pastures. And what we're gonna do here, we're gonna drag this pasture, we're gonna drag this pasture. Do I do this all season long? The answer is absolutely no. This is a early and late spring, fall and winter type project. So in the wintertime, the cows will graze this down to the nub. I'll roll you some wintertime footage right here. And this grass, right where we're standing, was eaten down to about that high. This is my sacrifice for the spring. This was my sacrifice. You guys probably saw the video teaching you how and when to move your cows and to not move them on your grass until it's ready, okay? Something that I preach and Greg Judy preaches. And everyone in the regenerative or cattle farming world preaches that understands grass. We're trying to keep our grass in the vigorous growth stage before it shoots out the seed head. That's what we're trying to do here. So what we've got right now, all this is about ankle high. I'm gonna show you some pastures that I have been dragging, which are right beside you. You'll probably see a distinct line from the sky when we get the drone up in the air. But all of this was not sacrificed. And you can see our seed heads are popping out right here. We've got orchard grass. The cows were in here, maybe 4 days ago, 5 days ago, and it's recovering awesome. So we want to make this look like this in 2 weeks. And that's what's going to happen here, because I'm going to drag these manure pats, which are not going to degrade. Look at this. Okay, do you see an earthworm? There's no earthworms out here. The goal is to get the earthworms. How are we going to get the earthworms? We're going to spread the nutrient out on the soil, out on the land, so that it soaks into the soil and those earthworms start to migrate to our pastures instead of leaving it in big poopy pile clumps. We have very, very hard soil, guys. This is not good soil. This is not what you got in most areas of the country. This is not your farm if you're in North Carolina, Virginia, Tennessee. It's not. This is what your land's like, okay? People moved westward because we squandered our soil here in the east. And there is the example. This whole field was all in tobacco. All they did was come out, they turned it in the wintertime, they'll disc it down, row it up, put tobacco plants in, harvest it. Have you ever seen a field of tobacco? There's not another stick of any sort sticking up in that tobacco field. It's all bare dirt, baked soil, tobacco. That's what we have here, and that's why I don't agree with not dragging your pastures. So we're going to show you a little before and after, and you may be able to tell, or you may not be able to tell. But once we comb over this with that harrow, and we'll walk over and show you the harrow, you'll see that a lot of this residual hay that's laying right here, grass won't grow under that, okay? We've got to get it up, we got to bust it up, and we got to spread it out on the land. And where that will stop is in bare spots all throughout here. So let's show you the drag harrow. This is Big T, what I call the Big T, the TYM T1104, 110 horsepower tractor. We're going to talk about the weight and compaction in a second. This is a Wingfield American Harrow, and this is the 25-foot batwing version right here. They make several different versions to suit any budget, I would say, but this is what we chose for our pastures. And basically all I have to do is go around it about 6 times and biggity bam, we got it. This is the way the harrow works. These are the tines in the harrow, and they basically dig into the ground just a little bit, not really skimming across the top is what we're doing, and breaking up those manure pats. You can do this in 2 directions. This is the aggressive direction, that's the non-aggressive. So you could turn this all the way around and do it the non-aggressive way. Pretty simple. That's hydraulically controlled, folds out, and we drag. This is TYM T1104, and we got some math to do. So according to my friend, and gosh, it just bothers me. I would never call someone stupid like that. It just bothers me. It's not up to me to decide what other people say, but this isn't stupid. So this is an 8,000 pound tractor, 8,000-ish. We're just gonna do simple math with this, okay? We've got 4 tires on the ground on this 8,000 pound tractor. So if I do that, so 8,000 divided by 4, that's 2,000 pounds per tire, right? Now, on average, look at how big these tires are right here. Would you say that's probably 12 by 16? I'm gonna say that's probably a 16 by 16 piece of ground right there. Maybe a 16 by 16 right there. Well, let's just talk about that a little bit. So 16 by 16 ground patch, that's what we're doing. 2,000 pounds on 16 by 16. So we divide that by 16 square inches, right? That's 125 pounds per square inch on the ground, okay? 125 pounds per square inch. Same math, let's do the same math here. Stick with me. 1,200 pound cow times, divided by 4 hooves. That's 300 pounds per hoof. Let's say the hoof is about this big. So let's say it's a 3 by 3. So let's divide that by 3 square inches. Then that's 100 pounds per hoof on the per square inch on the hoof. All right. So we had 125 pounds per square inch on the tractor tires. Well, the cows aren't always standing on all 4 feet, so they'll be standing on just 3 feet or just 2 feet. So we can either double or triple this when they're walking. So we're upwards of 300 PSI on the ground. So I put to you, what's more compacting? The cows walking through the pasture, eating the grass, stirring up the land, stimulating soil growth, stimulating roots, or this tractor? Which one? How does the math work out? You guys can do your own math. That's my math problem. I hate doing math on camera, but I don't see where we're compacting anything with a farm tractor like this. This load is spread so wide and so far out. So that's my spiel. We're going to get to work here real quick. We'll give you a little bit of before and after. You'll be able to see how we're dragging. We're just going around in concentric circles. It doesn't matter. You can not over drag, okay? So you can drag back and forth and zig and zag this way and that way. You can cross over the same place twice. In fact, I like to go a different way every time so that I disperse my nutrient a little bit more. And as we think about this, once again, think about it like your garden. If you took all your fertilizer and just stuck it on the end of the row of corn, would that grow a good row of corn? Well, I want a good field of grass. I don't want a clump and a clump and a clump and a clump and a clump. Another thing, the cows won't eat next to that big clump of grass because they won't eat next to their own poop. So if grass is growing anywhere around within about 4 or 5 inches of their manure pad, they won't bother it. They won't eat it. They know better. It's in something that's ingrained in them from nature. So, what do you think? Do I get more grazability out of my pasture? Is my nutrient spread better? Am I cheating my earthworms or am I bringing in more earthworms? If you have a garden, and this is my salad bar for my cows, this is my garden. If you have a garden and you spread the nutrient out on the garden, is it gonna do better than if you just left nutrient chunks? And that's basically the same thing is chunks of carbon and nitrogen fertilizer. It's basically clumps of fertilizer. Every manure pat is a $1 bill. If you wanted to cover more ground with 100 pennies, would you put them in a stack or would you give them a sling right out through the yard? I don't know. You tell me. Let's get busy. Folks, the reason I'm doing this is because I know it works, because I've seen it work, because I've seen what dragging the pastures has done over time. We're building soil here, and it simply makes no sense to have a compost heap or 1,000 compost heaps out in the middle of the pasture when you can spread that compost out, and over time, this builds your soil. I think it makes more sense to spread out the nutrient than it does to wait for an earthworm to come and digest that. I've seen what happens. I know what happens once my cows have grazed through one time. When they come back, wherever there's a manure pat, they won't graze that spot. Probably for a 2x2 area around that manure pat, it won't be grazed. It just makes sense to spread that biologic material out and let the earthworms get it. And if our grass stays high enough, the earthworms can crawl along the soil and gobble that stuff down. We start to loosen our soil up. And I don't think that this tractor is compacting my soil any more than a cow walking across the pasture. Tell me what you think there in the comments. Got her done. You hear that? Knock, 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 knock. That's the DEF pump, pumping the DEF. Diesel exhaust fluid, waste of time fluid. Awesome. So I've got everything drug out now. I hope you guys can see. Let me just take you over here and show you. So all of the thatch that was down on the ground is up just a little bit. What that did was kind of give the soil a little bit of opportunity to get some oxygen. In other words, taking it from anaerobic to aerobic. And we all know that a lot of bacteria is anaerobic, meaning anaerobes don't need oxygen, which would be what's under here, and aerobic animals need oxygen, okay? So my theory and my thought on all this is that it works. Just because one man does it one way and another man does it another way, and one man's had good results one way and the other man's had good results a different way, doesn't make him stupid, and it doesn't make him wrong. It just, different things work for different people, and I hope this video is a good take-home message for you guys. Don't get all your information in one place. Don't get all your trash in one place either. Don't get all your information in one place. When it comes to building and starting your farm, I'm a huge fan of regenerative farming here. I love what I do. I love rebuilding the soil. I love sequestering carbon. I love feeding the world with good, clean food. That's what I got into this for. This is a beef farm, but it's a soil building project more so than anything. Guys, I didn't drag my pastures in some places, and I did. And I did that for multiple years, and here is what we're seeing. Stay tuned. We've got a future video. We're gonna be spraying our fields with a microbial inoculant to help build the soil again. It just seems like common sense to me that if you had 1,000 manure pats, and there were probably 10,000 manure pats out here on this pasture, and each one of them probably has the mass of your fist, you know, maybe a pound, pound and a half, something like that. And you take that and you spread it all out. The next rain, all that material falls right back down onto the ground and builds a blanket of humus on our soil. That's what the goal is, to break up. You see 0 poopy piles out here, but you do see these little nuggets. Those little gold nuggets are spread all throughout here, guys. It's awesome. I encourage you, if you decide to drag your pastures, check out the Wingfield Drag Harrow. Chris Wingfield's a great guy, great friend of mine now. Great people, made in America. But I ain't here to sell you anything, and I'm not here to sell you an ideology. I'm just here to share with you my experience here. I'm not selling you a class on how to graze your animals, and I'm not selling you a class on how to manage your pasture. I'm giving it to you. Greg gives it to you. Joel Salatin gives it to you. We all give it to you. We give you this information, but what works for me may not work for you, and what works for Greg may not work for me, or what works for Joel Salatin may be way too much work for me to do, and it is, guys. Thank you so much. Please hit that like button. I hope you'll subscribe to the channel, guys. It was a little heartbreaking to be called stupid by somebody. Maybe I'm just taking it a little too rough. Like I said, it hit home a little bit when I got called stupid for doing this. I know it works. I see it working. I see that pasture over there, the one that I've been doing for 4 years. This is the best pasture on the farm. It's because of that Harrow, and it works. It does work. See you guys next time. Woo! Shut the garage door. What's wrong with me? Get it together, buddy. I think right there would be a pretty shot right there. Clump and a clump and a clump and a clump and a clump, clump. Woo!